The sixth episode of Masters of the Air follows Major John "Bucky" Egan as he becomes a POW, showing the brutal treatment many Americans experienced in German territory during World War II, but as it turns out, Egan's fictionalized story actually happened a year later. Although Egan did escape the Munster raid and parachuted into German territory, his POW story was likely not as horrifying as Masters of the Air depicted. In fact, there are little to no records on Egan's travels to Stalag Luft III. However, that does not mean that his storyline was totally made up. During the episode, Egan crash lands in German territory after the failed Munster raid. Although he attempts to escape without a trace, a group of German children expose him, causing him to be caught by German forces. Egan, along with other American POWs, is escorted across the country to a POW camp. However, the trip is far from safe. Egan and the POWs are led through a German town that has been destroyed in the war. The citizens, clearly angry with America, begin attacking Egan and the other American soldiers. Fortunately, Egan plays dead, but the other soldiers are killed. Masters of the Air Episode 6 uses the real-life Russelsheim massacre. This instance of German citizens killing American POWs is not fiction, although it did not happen to Major John Egan. In August 1944, an American B-24 bomber was shot down over Germany. All 9 members of the crew were able to land safely via parachute, but they were quickly taken into custody by the German Luftwaffe. As was protocol, the German soldiers began escorting the Americans to a POW camp. However, since the train lines were damaged by a previous airstrike, the Americans were forced to walk through the damaged town of Russelsheim. After sustaining significant damage from an airstrike the night before, the citizens of Russelsheim assumed that the Americans walking through town were those who bombed it. Therefore, a mob broke out. Just as it was depicted in Masters of the Air, citizens attacked the Americans with rocks, sticks, and iron bars. The German soldiers did nothing to stop the attack. Eventually, 6 of the 8 Americans were lined up and shot by a German officer. The remaining 2 escaped, but were recaptured 4 days later and brought to a POW camp. Masters of the Air's Russelsheim massacre change was important. Callum Turner as Major John Egan entering Stalag Luft III. Masters of the Air. Despite the fact that Major John Egan was not present for the Russelsheim massacre, adding it to Masters of the Air makes sense. The Russelsheim massacre is the type of brutal World War II story that isn't always remembered among the war's overarching violence. Stories like these show the huge effects the war had on both sides. A single airstrike could not only kill a group of American POWs, but could also rile German citizens to violence. By putting Major Egan into this story, Masters of the Air shed important light on the ways humanity suffered during World War II.